we're at the end of January. The temperature today is very mild. It's about 12 degrees centigrade. Tomorrow the temperature is going to be 15 degrees centigrade. Last week we had temperatures in the night of -8 centigrade and the day temperatures were only like 3 degrees. So the temperature up and down. But spring is on its way, so I can start doing some pruning. As you can see, look at, these are the things that we've dug out from the field and put in pots. There are literally hundreds of them. And there are one or two projects that I've been putting off, and it's time to take decisions and show you what to cut and how to cut. Now if you come around the front here, you'll see there's one very big tree here. Unless I stand next to it, you don't realize how big it is. Those of you who are experienced in bonsai will know that this is a Chinese quince. Chinese quince has this lovely, beautiful bark which peels, and they shed the bark as the trunk expands. So look at it. This tree was only this high about 10-15 years ago, and I've been growing it in this large flower pot just to get height and just to get the trunk to thicken. So the trunk has doubled in size in 10 years. It was only half this thickness. But there's always a time you've got to call a stop and say that you've got to take a decision as to how big you want the tree and how much more you want it to go. And once we've got to that size, we will then have to start developing the refinement and ramification for the tree. So all these long branches, very tempting to keep leaving it on and on and on, but there comes a time when you've got to, as I say, bite the bullet. So taking the decisions at the right time. So timing is important, and also we need to show you how to cut and where to cut. So this tree has grown nice and thick with a lovely trunk. So it's time to take some decisions to start refining the tree. So all this superstructure, I know that there'll be lovely flowers, but I can't wait forever. So, because this is rough work, I just bring my heavy loppers and cut some of this back to here. What I want is a rough conical shape. If you look from this side, this is the front of the tree. So this is the front of the tree, clearly the front. Some branches have died while it's growing, but again, as I said, we don't want the tree to grow too long. So rough conical shape means getting rid of all this. I might even try taking some thick cuttings, hardwood cuttings, to see how they grow. My goodness, the wood is really hard. Even the ordinary secateurs can't deal with it. That's why I brought my long loppers. This is an extremely useful tool. Upward pointing branches I don't need. I might keep some of this to encourage some back budding further back in the trunk. That upward pointing one I don't need, that branch is dead. That upward pointing one I don't need. I might just seal the cuts to be on the safe side. So as I said, we are really creating the structure for the tree, nothing more. Back one. some of these thick branches I'll keep just to encourage some back budding, but thick branches may eventually come off. I'm not cutting right back to the trunk in case it causes dieback. So you can see the structure that I've cut. This thick branch. So this is it. Back to the structure. And then from here we will get all the young shoots growing. And this, I can even cut it down to here should I want. And this is going to be the future of the tree. So I waited all these years for the tree to grow all these branches, and then in one fell swoop in 2 minutes I've cut off all the branches, but I've had to wait all that time to create the structure. So that's that one done. I will show you a number of these large projects where I've left long branches on, and I can explain to you during the cutting process why I left them on and what we need to do next. So we'll move on to some other trees which are also large like this. Those of you who remember seeing some of my summer videos will recall the conker trees. The conkers are the horse chestnut, the English horse chestnut, Aesculus family. So the horse chestnuts have large compound leaves, but they have flowers as well. And all these conker trees, they are every bit 40 years old, because I started making them from large 6 to 10 foot high trees. We chopped them down, and all this has been grown over the last 30 or 40 years to get this lovely zigzag shape. No wiring has been done. It's all by cut and go, and these shapes have evolved. Now, these are in pretty good condition, but there are some that I need to deal with, otherwise they get out of proportion. So again, I'm going to show you with trees like this where to cut and how to cut. I've pulled out 3 very interesting ones to show you. We've got here about 10 of them, but these we will pot up and I will show you what they will look like during the summer. But let's go to see these 3 that I've singled out. Now, look at the size of this tree. For those who have followed my Taiwan bonsai trip, will know that these are baby trees. They have trees 6, 8, 10 foot high. So this is nothing. So this is not large by any means. So you can see how I've created this. I made the first cut here, then it grew here, and then made a second cut. If you go to the back, you can see how the wood has rotted away from the cut, and it all looks very, very natural, very natural. And all this is cut and go. So that was cut there, then cut there, it grew here, then cut here, and so it keeps going, adding on and on and on. But there comes a point when you can't keep adding more and more. So this tree has more or less reached its full potential, and I'm going to put it in some sort of bonsai training pot, maybe a mica pot, and then it becomes more saleable and presentable. So this is a classic shape. Let me show you this example. This example is one where, again, the trunk is very beautiful, and the hollow where I cut it is rotting away nicely. And this is how conker trees do grow. But to make it more in proportion, I still need to do a little more work. You notice that I don't make all the trees hang down with sloping branches in pine style. There are certain trees in nature. You look at these Zelkova trees, all the branches spring upwards. So in nature you do get trees that have branches springing upwards. So with the conker tree like this, I want the branches to be looking upwards rather than coming down like a conifer. But again, there are certain branches which are too thick. If you look at this one, for instance, this is okay, but this becomes too thick. So I'm going to cut it back to there. Of course, during the summer, I've been cutting a lot. You see, all these have been cut, but I don't want it to get too big. A tree of this size, I think, should be more like this. So with that in mind, I'm going to reduce the size quite considerably. It's all about scale. Bonsai is all about scale. So This one I think is too long, so I'm going to cut this here. That also is too long, because this is going to be the head. These drastic decisions take some courage, but there is a logic to everything. Now this tree is quite nice, but there's like a fork here. I'm not sure whether to take that off or to take this off. So again, there is a decision to be made. And if you look at it carefully, I've got Tyler here who's standing next to me, and he's learning from me. Let me ask him, which one of these two, do you think both should be there?
One definitely has to go.
One definitely have to, absolutely right. Now which one would you take off and why?
I would be tempted to take off the nearer one, the
Why?
big one. I think you've already got a branch coming from beneath it.
Okay.
So I would be tempted to take this one off, and then you could see this nice
right.
bend.
Yeah.
I think the back one's got nice bends to it.
Okay. Although there's a case of doing the other way around, isn't it?
For sure, and if you take
Yeah.
the other one off, you'd be able to see this nice back branch as well. There's already two branches coming from there. You could make
See,
a
the
good
fact
case
that
for
two
both.
branches come from there is not a bad thing,
No.
is it? Because
For broom.
it would still make that nice shape like that. Can you see?
Yeah.
But I agree with you. If you take that off, you can see that back branch better. Huh?
You can make a good case for both, I'd say.
So sometimes you may have to leave both. But I don't know. One of them needs to come off. One of them needs to come off. And did you say take the front one off?
I think I'd go for
I
the
think
front.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So, okay. Right, let's do that. Because there comes a time when you have to take a decision. I haven't got my mini chainsaw. If this doesn't work, I will get the mini chainsaw and use the mini chainsaw. No, I think we have to wait till I get the mini chainsaw and cut that. But meanwhile, I think the proportions are more or less right. I can do a little more cutting there. The back one is too thick. Get that out. And it does look like a concrete tree. Even if I didn't take it off, I think I should take it off. It may create more of a hollow, so that would look very nice. I'll show you the entire process by putting it in a mica pot and see how it looks. So we'll take it back into the back greenhouse and complete the process. Okay, we'll stop there for a while while we move on to something else. So what have we got here? This is a large mountain maple that I planted in our grounds back in 1986, 38 years ago when I came here. They were 1 inch in diameter, and then about 10 years ago I dug it out from the field and put it in this large container. Unless I stand next to the tree, you don't realize how big these trees are. This is a big tree, and that trunk at the base must be about 6 to 8 inches in diameter. I will show you some of these crazy experiments I did. Now this one was the famous Peter Chan's wire trick, where I left the wire on the trunk, you see, and the wire still embedded in the trunk, and it caused the spiraling effect. But for some reason, deciduous trees don't like it so much. You can do it with pines and junipers, but with deciduous trees, it tends to strangle the tree. So this trunk, the main trunk, died, and the side trunk, which wasn't wired, continued to grow. So this was a waste of time. So this was an aborted experiment. So it slowed the growth a bit, and I cut it there and tried to make it into a broom shape. So you can see all this new leader, all these new branches have been created in the last 10 years. This tree, may I remind you, was planted 86, already about 10 years old, so I would say it's about 45 to 50 year old tree. Now you can see the shape of the tree. Nice movement here, cut and go, and I can cut there and I can get a nice leader, and this can be a nice tree like this. So this would make a very nice, like a broom style natural shape maple. But I always tell people, never take anything for granted. If I ask Tyler to go around the other side, I will show you what I mean. We were just walking around the tree, and if you come here, look at all that beauty here. Look at this beauty here. And this, because it has already started rotting away, is going to make a beautiful hollow trunk tree. Look at that, the wire still in there. Look at this bonsai wire still there. So the tree has grown over the wire. So the wrapping around the wire doesn't work for maples, it seems. But this has got beautiful movement in the dead wood. So looking at it from this side, which at first I thought was going to be the back, it's probably going to make a much better front. Look at it, it's absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. So I don't think I need to look too far, and I will settle for this as the front, because this has certainly got much more character. Look at it bending there. And if we use this as the front, this can be the leader over here. So I don't want to do too much refining because the tree has got a long journey still ahead. I reckon it'll take me another 3 to 5 years to make a complete bonsai out of this. But it will come. If you remember some of my older videos where 3 years ago I used the pickaxe and crowbar to do a maple bonsai, that's looking very good already. A number of people want to buy it, but I refuse to sell it at this stage. So here we are. We got to this stage. Let's clear some of the debris. And we're now going to what we call bite the bullet, and I will use my mini chainsaw. So we're going to make this the leader. So I don't think we need to look too far. No, let's get some of this debris off. Leave this to rot naturally, and I think the leader can be somewhere at the top. I don't want to use the chainsaw on that. And cut it with. I will leave some more to make this thicker. So if I leave some of these branches, it will help to draw the sap and help to thicken this leader much faster. So the leader will probably end up here, but I'm continuing to leave this grow just to make the tree strong in that part. Even this is like a sacrificial. I'm going to leave that. So let me just trim a little bit off the top. So the tree is going to end up somewhere like that. So these are all going to be sacrificial branches. So I want this leader to thicken a little more. So it'll be like a, more or less like a broom, informal upright. So don't worry about the actual style. Some people are obsessed with styles. A tree is a tree. A tree in nature, you don't have to call it a particular style as long as it looks like a tree. So that is how this tree is going to evolve. Come this later spring, I'm going to get a digger to lift this thing up and put it in a smaller mica training pot. And we will follow the progress of this tree. So this is the progress of this tree. Okay, we'll move on to another one. So that's that one. Now this is the other maple. Another beast. Absolutely big tree. Let's walk around the other side. Now this stump is ugly. So we got to decide which is going to be our front. Again, this tree was dug up at the same time and we chopped the top off, and all these branches have grown in the last 10 years. There's a long sweeping root that side. I think eventually they will have to be reduced somehow. There's a lot of rotting going on here, so no matter. Okay, so if you look at the tree like this is going to be clearly the front. A nice informal broom style tree. You notice I left a little stub here because if you leave a little stub then it will heal nicely there. But now that it's grown over, we can get rid of that stub and let it go further back. This one at the back we can get rid of. Let that rot at the back, and there's not much to be done to the tree, but I will show you how I will continue to create ramification, and it's simply by trimming these twigs back, keep it in a nice dome shape. I don't need to show the entire process. Mind you, this is what we do continuously throughout the summer. You can talk a lot about ramification and all the complexities, but it's simply pruning the tips off and you will get there. No rocket science involved. Spring is a lovely time because there's so much you can be doing. And the winter will soon be over. I know we've still got some cold weather and snow to come, but hopefully the days are getting longer and everything is beginning to look right. So this is the size of bonsai we like. But really, after going to Taiwan, there is no such thing as an over large bonsai. And depending on how it goes, the front may evolve over time, but let's see. So that's the start of another large tree. Okay, so those are the two big maples. I've got one more project for you. So let's return to this conker tray. And we said we're going to take this one out. The loppers wouldn't do the job, so let's do this with a little chainsaw. This is such a brilliant tool. There you are. It's much more open, no crossing branches, and we will encourage more ramifications. Now, while we are doing it on the wheelbarrow or the trolley, let me show you another tree that I found growing in the field. Now, this is an oak seedling here. I don't want that. Lots of little oaks. But I'll show you what happened to this tree. This is a Japanese hornbeam, Carpinus laxiflora, and this is an heirloom. You see all the roots that came out. The roots came out, but I forgot to cut it off. So because I forgot to cut it off, it eventually died because it had to be transplanted and I didn't get time to do it. So that is something wasted, but nothing is ever wasted in my book. So let us see what happened because I did that. Let's get rid of this. So, because that died, a side branch grew this way and we got a beautiful, like an informal upright growing this way. So it's done me a favor. Really done me a favor. So all you have to do is make sure it produces more ramification. This is the makings of a very nice informal upright tree. So this is how this one will be growing. I don't need this to go too tall. So there's another tree in the making. Alright, getting the right decisions, knowing where to cut. And now for the last project in this video, I'm going to show you a very interesting project. So I'm standing next to a huge trident maple. This must be at least 15 foot tall, but believe you me, all this growth from here to the top of the 15 foot has grown in the last 3 years. Only in the last 3 years. And the history of the tree is as follows. It was a large trident maple, but for some reason the top started to die, and in order to save it, I planted it in the ground. And lo and behold, the top continued to die. But look at all the side branches. These are all new branches that sprouted from the bottom of the tree. So, looking at it, it would make a nice, like a multi-trunk tree, like that. So you can see, and knowing me, my tendency always is to why waste this. I would go about air layering all this. I can get about 10 or 20 trees. But I've now come to the conclusion that I can't wait forever. If I wait to do air layering, I will never see it in my lifetime. So it's time to practice what I preach, which is bite the bullet. Mind you, I may try to make thick cutting with it. We will use those branches and experiment making thick cuttings. Okay. It's okay, leave it. Now this is one of those trees that look nice from either side. If you walk to the back, let's have a look to see if there's any possibilities from this side. If you look at the tree from here, there's a beautiful movement there. So, you know, this could also become the front of the tree. So never say never, as it were. There's always a case of making either side the front. So I'm going to cautiously prune away, stay the side. I'll bring the chainsaw and start cutting some of those branches and see where we get to. If you just home in and just study the detail of it, you can see that there's a lot going for that tree. Really a lot going for that tree. See, again, this is an instance where what we thought was the back has turned out to be a very viable front. And this is a sacrificial, but I will continue to keep part of it as a sacrificial. Decide whether to keep that as the leader or this as the leader, so I'll keep both for now. Turn the camera off while we tidy the debris. Just remove some of the soil and look at the base. You talk of nebari. Look at that field growing trident maple. It's at least 20 inches or 2 foot at the base. And this I think I will cut off and just do it like a clump style or multi-trunk style. And we will start working on the ramification. There you go. I haven't decided which is going to be the leader, but that doesn't matter. That's a simple matter of choice. So there you go. We're going to dig it up with a digger and put it in a large pot and start training the detail. So I hope you've seen all these difficult decisions that we had to make, but decisions we have to take, otherwise they will be growing here forever and become large trees, which we don't want. This is about the limit. So I hope you've enjoyed this video.